Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2017 Ford Edge, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver. But before we do that, why don't we check this out and make sure this is the right hitch for you. With the Ford Edge, these are pretty popular SUVs and they're pretty capable as well. And so if it were me and I was looking for a trailer hitch for it, I'd want something that could handle just about anything you want to throw at it. Whether you're trying to pull some trailers around or use hitch mounted accessories like a bike rack, for example, you're going to want a hitch that'll allow you to do those types of things. And this one's going to do just that. And not to mention as well, I'd also want something that'll look decent, and with this one being completely hidden for the most part, it's going to do a good job of kind of blending in and looking somewhat factory. I do want to address one of the big questions that we get asked, and that is your hands-free liftgate assist still going to work whenever you have the hitch in place? And the answer is yes. I know that from personal experience on edges that I've done in the past that do have that feature. Unfortunately today ours don't have it, so we really can't show it off, but like I said, I do know from past experience, and really the only thing that you're going to have to do different is kick your foot to either side of the hitch. Might take you a couple tries too to kind of find that sweet spot, but once you do, it will still operate like it should. With this hitch being a class 3, it is going to have the 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. That's a really common size, and a lot of different stuff is going to work with it. It is going to use the standard 5/8 pin and clip. Keep in mind though, pin and clip doesn't come included with the hitch. If you need one, not a big deal. You can always grab it here at eTrailer. And it is going to have plate style safety chain openings, and these are a little bit different. They actually sit down below the hitch, and that'll give you more than enough room to use just about any size hook that your trailer might have. As far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's actually going to have some pretty high numbers. Maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 675 pounds, and that's going to be the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. So that'll be good for just about any size bike rack or cargo carrier, just kind of give you an example. As far as the hitch's maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 4,500 pounds. And that's going to be the amount of weight that is pulling on the hitch. So the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. This can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. And what happens whenever you use that, it's going to keep your trailer and your edge level whenever you're towing down the road. So if you have a larger camper or something along those lines, might be worth looking into, but even if you use that, the weight capacities are going to remain the same. With all that in mind, if you are going to be pulling a trailer around, you are going to want the lights to work on it, that way it'll be safe and legal. And to accomplish that, you can always grab some trailer wiring. Now we can go ahead and just grab a couple of measurements, and these are going to help us figure out which hitch mounted accessories will work best. If you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 14 inches. So if you plan on pulling a trailer around, chances are pretty good. You can use a ball mount that has a straight shank or one that has a slight rise in it. If we go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, that's going to be about 5.5 inches. And you can use that measurement to help figure out that if any folding type accessories you might have can be stored in that upright position without contacting the back of your edge. Compared to some of the other hitches available, I would probably go with, if it were my own edge, I'd probably end up going with this CURT one or the etrailer.com one. Honestly, I lean a little bit more towards the eTrailer one, really just because of the finish. It looks pretty much identical to this, but it has a matte black finish, and it almost matches the bumper plastic perfectly. But that's just my opinion. If you like one that's a little more shiny, the CURT one's there, and if you like the eTrailer one better, then that's available as well. But they also have, those are also going to have some better weight capacities in some of the hitches and be hidden. The liftgate's still going to work, and so what more could you really ask for? I think they did a pretty good job here. But other than that, as far as the installation goes, really not too bad. I feel like this is something that's definitely doable, and so as long as you stay focused, you really shouldn't run into too many issues. But if you'd like to see how that's done, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and install the hitch together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the back of our Ford Edge and we're going to be working underneath it. And first thing we need to do is we're going to have some side panels on each side of the vehicle that we need to remove. To get the panel off, you're going to have two 10mm nuts. We'll pull these off. And then further towards the outside of the panel, along this edge, you're going to have two 5.5mm screws. We'll pull them out. I want to mention from this point on, anything we do to one side of our vehicle, we're also going to do to the other side. We set up the same way. We should be able to lower this down and get it out of the way for now. Now we can remove this panel here just behind our muffler. And so you're going to have one 10mm nut there. And then if we look on the outside edge, we're going to have a total of 6 5.5mm fasteners. Get all these out, and then we should be able to lower this down as well. Just kind of pop this down. And pull it out. Now we can lower our exhaust down to give us some more room to work. Before we do that though, I do suggest taking a strap and just running it from side to side. That way we can kind of control how fast and how far we let the exhaust come down. To get the exhaust lowered, you're gonna have two isolator hangers. So one over here and then one exactly like it, just on the other side of our vehicle. You can spray these down with soapy water or some type of lubricant, make it easier. Then you can take a big pry bar or screwdriver and just pry the end of it off. And I went ahead and already did the other side, so now we should just be able to lower the exhaust down to give us some more room to work. If you look in the center of our vehicle, we're gonna have this stud here, and this is where that heat or that center plastic shield was attached to, that stud there. That's going to interfere with the hitch, so we are going to have to trim it off. Sometimes you can grab pliers and kind of wiggle these and break them off. But to speed things up, I'm just going to use a Dremel tool and cut that flush. Now we can get our hardware in place inside of the frame. We're going to have 4 attachment points. So we're going to be using these 2 holes as well as these 2. Then this hole we'll use as an access hole to get all of our hardware in there. So I like to start with the ones furthest away. You're going to take the coiled end of your fish wire and drop it down. And then you're going to take a spacer block and a carriage bolt. Thread that on and feed the hardware one at a time up through there. Pull it out, and then the side ones, once you got everything kind of together, the side ones just barely push back in. That way they don't hit the hitch whenever we go to put it up. But I'm going to use that same technique and same hardware combination to get the rest of our bolts and spacer blocks in place. Now with the next set of hands, you get our hitch up into place, and you want to start by bringing it over the passenger side exhaust first, and then you're going to put all the pull wires into the corresponding holes in the hitch. These ones up here, run them through the inside out. And when we're lifting this up on these side ones, you're gonna have to kind of lift up and take the slack out of the lines at the same time, or out of the pull wires rather. Because if you just push it up there, these will get in a bind, and then it's kind of a pain to get everything lined back up. Once we pull these through, the weight of the hitch should be supported by them, but just to be on the safe side, I'll remove one of the pull wires, take a flange nut, and just get one started hand tight. The bolt's moving around, you can always apply a little side pressure there with your finger to keep it steady while you get this started. You want to get all the pull wires off and then get the rest of your nuts started. So flange nut there, and also this one here. And make sure the hardware don't drop back into the frame, because it's not too fun trying to get it back out. So we'll get that started, and really the only difference is going to be this bolt. With this one, since there's this gusset here, you don't have room for a flange nut. What you're going to take is a split lock washer and put that over the bolt, and then just a regular nut, and get that started. With all the hardware in place and tight, we can come back and snug it down. So for the hex nuts, you can use an 11/16. The side's done. Now we need to come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can get one here at eTrailer, or a lot of times you go to your local auto parts store and they'll have one there available to rent. Before we put the exhaust up, I'm going to reinstall our panels underneath. And with the exhaust down, it just makes it a little easier, gives us some extra space to work. So these will just go back on the opposite way that we removed them. And finally come back and rehang our exhaust again, just the opposite way that we removed it. Re-lubricate the hangers. Usually helps make it a little easier. And then once it's supporting itself, come back and remove our strap. Something that I did want to mention, because I kind of forgot about it, is this center panel here. This is not going to be getting reinstalled. And in the past, when I've done these, I've tried to trim them and work them up in there and everything else, and it's just not worthwhile. You essentially get this little piece down here, and it doesn't even make a difference. So I just wanted to mention that in case you're wondering, and this won't be going back in place. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver on our 2017 Ford Edge.